Hello, welcome to the A to Z YouTube channel. My name is Toby Allen and I am the A in A to Z. When it comes to a band coming into the studio to record with us, I'm in charge of the songwriting, producing and engineering side of things. And today we're going to be looking at the Marshall Mode 4 amp. Now it's a bit of an interesting one because it seems to be a little bit polarizing because a lot of people seem to either love it or hate it, and there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of in between. It was one that was used by Darren in System of a Down. If you've heard of the amp, then you've probably seen the advert that used to be in the guitar magazines with Darren laying across either the cabs or the amps. Also, Alex Skolnick of Testament used to say it was, in his opinion, the greatest Marshall amp ever made. So that's two people I can think of that liked it. But if you look on the internet, a lot of people seem to hate it. It's a hybrid amp, so it has valves in the preamp, but it has a solid state power amp, and it's 350 watts, so it goes rather loud. It has 4 channels. If you look at the controls, it's kind of split into 2 amps. You've got amp 1 with 2 channels and amp 2 with 2 channels. And each amp has got its own preamp valve, which works together with the rest of the preamp circuitry to voice in a certain way. And you'll notice when we get into it that the amp 1 and amp 2 are very, very different. I get the feeling that this was kind of Marshall's attempt at dethroning the dual rectifier from being like the #1 amp for nu metal back in the early 2000s. And again, when we get to amp 2, you'll see where I'm coming from with that. So the Mode 4 cabs are kind of oversized as well, in a similar way to the dual rectifier cabinets. And a little story behind me getting this, like a couple of years ago I saw several videos of various people on YouTube comparing the Mode 4 cabinet with Mesa oversized cabinets and putting the same speakers in both of them and miking them up in the same position and comparing them, and they're very, very close. The differences being marginal, but the kind of things I actually like in a tone. So I actually, in all the shootouts, I tended to veer towards the Mode 4 kind of sound. So I was on the lookout for a Mode 4 cab on the cheap because they're no longer made. So it was just basically looking on the used market to see if I could find one. Eventually I did, for a price I liked. And it turns out that the guy selling it was also selling the head in the same price. So I kind of bit his hand off. That was about a year ago. And I've used the amp quite extensively since then. On the channel, there's the Master of Puppets cover, the 5 Minutes Alone cover, and Empyrean Fire are the 3 main standout ones I think of when it comes to using that. I actually kind of combined it with the Spider Valve a few times rather than using the built-in solid state amp for various reasons. But we're not going to get into that one today. We're just going to use the amp on its own, not messing around with other power amps. With regard to the cabinet, the one I got actually has K100s in it. It's the MF400 as opposed to the MF280, I think it was. So there's a version which came with V30s. But I got the one that had the K100s, which is fine. I basically took 2 of the K100s out, sold those, and I've put in here since then, there's a K100 2002 Heritage, which apparently is based on a greenback that's supposed to sound like voiced to sound like a 60s greenback. There's also a 1995 Mesa voiced V30 and a 2002 Marshall voiced V30, and that's what's in there at the moment. I've got the microphones loaded up. I've got an SM58 loaded up on the 2002 V30. We're also going into a load box, which is running the standard Bogan Digital Vikings IR. That is from the OG Bogan Digital Rhythm Pack, and check out the link below if you'd like to snap up a copy of that, and that obviously helps out the channel as well because that's an affiliate link. And if you use the code A to Z, that's spelled AIIZ, then you'll get a discount as well. So win-win for everyone. Get a discount, little kickback for us, you get some great sounds on your tones. Anyway, all that aside, let's have a listen to the sound of this. I'm going to be switching out between the microphones and the load box and stuff. It will come up on screen as to which one I'm using at any given time. So right now we're on the channel 1 of amp 1, which is voiced to sound like a plexi. Just going to put a little bit more gain on that. There's also a big one in reverb. And I'm just gonna dial a little bit of the EQ in there. All right, so that gives you a little bit of an idea what it sounds like without some pedals. I'm going to whack on my plumes just over here. That's a fairly conservative dialing in of the plumes, as you can see, and you know, gains on half on the amp, and it's pretty. Fairly gnarly. I mean, like. Ideal for punk. We go a little bit harder. So that's channel 1. Turn the plumes back off and we'll go over to channel 2. Now that is voiced to sound like a JCM 800, and it's not a million miles away. Let's get the right guitar for that. Yeah. Yes, it does the Rage Against the Machine thing, which is anytime I get anything that's supposed to be JCM 800 sounding, first riff I pull out. But yeah. That low end is kind of a little bit much. Great again for punk. You know, you can't go wrong with Marshall and punk. We're gonna try that with the plumes on. And then precision drive. That precision drive just makes everything sound modern, you know? So, let's move over to Amp 2 with channels 1 and 2 of Amp 2. Alright, we're now on channel 3, which is called Amp 2 channel 1 or something. Amp 2 OD1. And that sounds like this. It has so much more chunk to it. Like the low end is like whoa compared to the Amp 1. And if you look on the video, you can on the close-up, you can see that the bass is basically on the same setting. Like I've got the EQ on essentially the same setting we had on channel 2 a minute ago, and this has so much more girth to it. And we're going to turn the gain up. But this is where it gets interesting. There is a scoop button. If I enable that, listen to this. It's instant American amp nu metal tone. With the mid on full, it doesn't sound quite so ridiculous. I mean, it's still scooped, but yeah. And the other thing we've got on here is the tone matrix, which is a stepped knob, and it basically chooses which frequency the mid is cutting or boosting. So I'm just going to chug, and I'll switch. Hang on, let's turn the scoop back off. And then scoop manually with that mid control. So listen to the difference when I change between the three tone matrix settings. You hear the lower mid kind of shifting as you change that switch. That's where I like that one the best. That one, oh, maybe. Definitely sounds a lot more sounds a lot more American than any other Marshall I've ever come across. And again, let's try it with a boost. First, I've got the plumes in a kind of classic gain off, level up, and the tone just shy of 12 o'clock, so maybe about 1. That is lovely. So let's just turn the boost back off, and we'll go, and then go over to OD2. Kind of almost goes into line 6 insane kind of territory. The low end is just out of control, and it's kind of fizzy, fuzzy kind. Let's just turn the bass down a little bit more. little bit more control. And then let's put some precision drive on. And then the scoop. Now the plumes. Oh, there you go, that's the Mode 4. I wanted to make a video because when I was looking at the Mode 4 myself last year and the year before that, I couldn't find a video of demonstrating the head that wasn't just like camera audio, and so I figured that maybe I would fix that. There were loads of videos of the cab, which is awesome, and the cab is exceptionally good. It is really, really, really good. What almost kind of confirms that for me is in Miko 2 by ML Sound Lab, there is the Mode 4 cab in there, and it's probably my favourite from all of the cabs that are in Miko 2, and it sounds just like my cab, and yeah, it just kind of confirms that it's a really good cab. I really, really like it. The head is... It gets got a lot of use actually when I'm reamping. I tend to use it as like for quads or kind of a blend tone, because it is very almost over the top. It's the channels 3 and 4, or AMP2 OD and OD2, are almost like caricatures of metal tones, and sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't want that up front, you want that kind of in the background, adding some extra to the main guitars, and yeah, so that's where I tend to use it. If you can get one on the used market, they do tend to be very cheap. You get the occasional one where someone's put up for like £700 or something absolutely insane, which is mental, but like I paid $180 for the head and the cab together, and that was a great price. I think if you're looking about 150 or anywhere between 150 to 200 for the head, and the same again for the cab, then that's pretty fair kind of price. So I would definitely keep an eye out on the used market for those. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw, give us a like, hit the subscribe button, whack that bell button as hard as you possibly can. If it breaks your mouse, excellent. Maybe not. No, don't hit it that hard. But if you get the notification bell, you'll be notified when we next put videos up and all that kind of stuff. And we're back to a weekly schedule, so there can be videos coming up. We've got playthrough songs of up and coming Bloody Pineapples songs, which of course use the Mode 4. We've got tutorial stuff coming up, we've got gear reviews coming up, we've got pedal reviews, we've got amp reviews, we've got plugin reviews, amp sims, drum libraries. Oh, it's all happening. There's loads of stuff coming, and if there's anything specifically you want to ask me or Ruben about any of the stuff that we use, or any, so thanks very much. See you next time.